Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 156 and 157, and this is for the 29th and 30th of July. This information in this summary will include some information coming from the 31st of July as well, but ultimately this is actually for the 29th and 30th, because the current time is still in the evening in Ukraine. I can show you. The current time is 7:40 in Ukraine, so which is why this summary cannot be a summary for the day of 31st of July, but there will be some information from there as I collect all the information, bound to have the latest information then. So let's start off with the cross-border shelling, and before I continue, press the like button and do share this to your friends and your contacts if they are interested in the Ukraine war. But I think you guys will be so boring with Ukraine war, right? Because Taiwan is the in thing now. Anyway, shelling is reported at Lomakovka. So it's reported that there are some shelling there and nothing serious happened. And that's all. There are some other cross-border shellings, I think on Twitter and somewhat whatnot. It's not really on the official reports. Ukraine Defense Ministry seems to be lazy to report about them as well. And I think that I will be seizing this shelling temples and shelling mounts fighting for the the cross-border shellings report, because I think that it looks like this border shellings along the Russian and Ukraine border is not going to develop into anything else. I feel that the window for the Russians to push through to Kiev seems to be over. I don't think they will be doing that. I think they will be more worried about all the other fronts, since the Ukrainians are giving them a lot of problems, and the Russians seems to have some seemingly missteps that allowed so much shelling into the Russian-controlled territory, which is why I don't think the Russians will try northern invasion. So I think I will stop the coverage of the cross-border shelling until later, until there is something unusual. Yeah, I will report it to you, if not, so that we can save more time in terms of the monitoring, so that I can actually cover more stuff. If not, cross-border shelling actually takes a lot of effort to actually go through the information there. So that. And then there is this interesting thing. The Ukraine Defense Ministry, or the Special Communications Telegram, reported that there is a Russian helicopter, a Ka-52, a Ka-52, getting shot down at night. And they were shot down by the 93rd OMB Kholodnyi Yar. But then, however, this is not the location where he's shot down. This is probably just the name of this group, this unit, because Kholodnyi Yar is actually pretty far away from the front, and even from the front line, it's actually 50 kilometers almost, which makes it impossible for this helicopter to be shot down from here. So this is probably the name of this unit, and no idea where he got shot down. So this is a problem sometimes with Ukrainian reports. They don't really give very good exact locations, on some of the things that happen. But they are still much better than the Russian reports nowadays, because Russian reports nowadays just talk about what they destroy, how many places they hit, which is pretty much useless to my reporting. And there's also this UAV strike that is at Sevastopol on the Black Sea Fleet HQ on the Russian Navy Day. So as a result of this strike, the Navy Day festivities were totally cancelled in Ukraine, in Sevastopol. So according to the Ryber, they say that the Ukrainian forces with UAV dropped an explosive device on the headquarters of the Black Sea Fleet in Sevastopol. So according to the governor, 5 were injured, and it was decided to postpone the festive events of the Navy Day in Sevastopol, and they urged residents to stay home. So Then on Intel Slava, they reported that Putin is informed about what has happened at Sevastopol, and they clarify. They actually add more detail that the attack is actually by a low-yield explosive device dropped from a makeshift drone. So their number is 6 people injured, and 2 of them are in moderate severity. Buildings were slightly damaged. So something low yield but can damage building is still rather scary. And so Intel Slava is very pro-Russian, so they just say that it's a terrorist attack, prefab quadcopter with a reset device. I'm not sure what's a reset device, and an explosive grenade or IED. So he claimed that the perpetrators is actually agents of the Ukrainian special services in Crimea. So that means within Crimea area there are some espionage forces that carry out this attack. Because at first I was kind of surprised, how did the drones actually be able to fly this far from Odessa to Sevastopol without getting noticed. So apparently it's an inside job. It's launched from within Crimea. So that's for the strike there. The Russians launched a missile strike on the train station at Pokrovsk. So according to the Russian Defense Ministry, high precision air-based weapons, just missiles, hit the military train at Krasnohorivka station. Basically, it's Pokrovsk. This is the old name, Krasnohorivka, and so reportedly this train is carrying the elite assault battalion of the 1st separate brigade of the Ukrainian president, and 140 soldiers are reportedly killed, with 250 other fighters are wounded in varying degrees of severity. All military equipments are out of action. So this is a very, very big claim from the Ministry of Defense of Russia. I'm not sure how much to believe in terms of this, because to say all military equipments are out of action and to take out 400 soldiers out of action, and they are from the elite, so-called elite battalion of their 1st separate brigade. Yeah, very. I'm not sure whether to believe or not, because it's very incredulous. But no, it could be true. I from my experience of covering the war, I don't think we'll be able to get a verification on this kind of thing, since the Ukrainians are really tight with their information control. So unless obituaries are being put out, we probably will not know. But I believe that the pro-Russian accounts will be monitoring, because if this is true, we'll probably see obituaries of the soldiers saying that they are previously from the 1st separate brigade and they died in Pokrovsk, and then you will know that this strike is actually true. But that will take a few days to a week for such thing to happen. The body will take some time to go back home. So that's that. So moving on to the Southern Front. So at the Southern Front, the Russians are already starting to repair the bridge. It's still being repaired. There are photos showing the repair is ongoing, and there is satellite images confirming that there is a pontoon bridge over here that is already in service. Not sure it's fully linked up yet, because they have been building it for the past week. So, and then all the way at the south, at the Mykolaiv Front, So previously I mentioned this, the Ukrainian MOD asset control over Oleksandrivka, saying that the Russians shelled this position. What is interesting on the Twitter, in the pro-Ukrainian Twitter sphere, is that they are talking about this major offensive around Oleksandrivka. They are pushing from Oleksandrivka downwards, and this story has been ongoing for a very long time, and is so repetitive that I decided not to cover it at all, because most of the time they always go back to the same place, and it doesn't seem to suggest that it's actually a real thing. But the amount of the way how they wrote it, sounds very authentic. But just that, I know the account after covering for so long, I start to feel that it's not very credible. So unfortunately, Twitter is getting more and more hard to trust, because I don't even know how some of the certain accounts get their sources to suggest that there is an offensive going on where no one else is mentioning, not even the Ukraine Ministry of Defense. So that's that. There is no updates regarding all this situation here. Wait, what is this? Okay, I should delete this because I already awarded it back to them. I awarded it back to them, so I can delete that. I think Russia MOD one I also can delete. There's no point to show them anymore. So Russia MOD claims all this, because we are really not going to take Russia MOD claims. The reason is because the Russian MOD do not want to fix their map, and so I cannot use their mapping anymore. So I cannot verify their claims. So that's that. So that's all from the Mykolaiv Front. On the Davydiv Brid front, there is some claims. There is fighting reported at Velyka on the 27th, and then there is report of that they might retreated. According to Ryba's mapping, they show that at least Luzov and Andriivka is actually under Russian control. But they put it also in the gray zone, so I do not really know what to do with it. So I'm going to leave it there. So in terms of Davydiv Brid itself, Ryba's mapping assert that Davydiv Brid is actually under Ukrainian control. And yeah, that's it. So I do not know what to do with these fronts here. At the moment, we're just going to keep it as a lot of gray zones, and then we will see how this goes. Over here at the Kryvyi Rih Front. At the Kryvyi Rih Front, first thing first, there's a MiG-29 shot down over Kryvyi Rih. So this is shot down by a Russian fighter, and this is quite again, like I said, planes and helicopters are getting shot down deeper and deeper into Ukrainian territory. This might suggest the weakening of Ukrainian air defense. It means there is a lack of air defense weaponry, like for example the S-300s, because the Russians have took out quite a number of them, and I have personally I'm not sure how much air defense they have left. I know that they are getting some new ones from the west. So whether they're going to be deployed in the front, no, not sure, because the Ukrainians do not share such information. However, there is claims. According to the war_mapper on Twitter, he claimed he tweeted that the Olhynye is captured by the Ukrainian forces. However, this is not reflected on Ryba's mapping, so that's why it's a question mark. That's why there's still overlapping. Previously, this was claimed by the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense to be shelled by Russian forces. So this still continues to be a question mark. Everyone still continues to claim Invalidated, so I have no idea what to do with that. There is information from Ryba, the pro-Russian source, saying that there is a concentration of force at Potomkine, and according to this pro-Russian source, he says that the Ukrainians are now preparing an offensive towards Vysokopilya. Similarly, there is also a gathering of force over at Voronzovska, and there is in fact a recon party moving towards the area of Zolota Balka and Khreshchenivka. And according to Ryba, the pro-Russian source, this recon attempt, they tried to infiltrate into the territory controlled by the Russian forces in the border of Zolota Balka and Khreshchenivka. However, the group, while attempting to pass through the minefields, suffered casualties, so they returned to their original positions. So from the way how it's written, they said seen attempting to pass minefields, suffered casualties. So I don't think there is a firefight at all. I think the Russian soldiers are actually observing them, and they seems to caught themselves in the minefield, and they decided to retreat, because minefields are actually effective even today. despite it's quite an old weapon. So moving on to the Zaporizhzhia line, I have actually yes, I actually have an update. So all the way at the very end, Velyka Novosilka, there's reported fighting here. I think I have reported this in the last summary, but this is the 29th one, and we are also still in the 29 to 30 summary anyway. So there is a fighting reported at Velyka Novosilka, but there's no more news since. Over here at the Donetsk front, this is the Donetsk city. So in the Donetsk Oblast, the Donetsk front, there's some on Twitter. I think Surya Maps just caught up about Russian forces taking Soloke, and they mentioned that the Russian forces is at the edge of Mykolaiv. So which means that under the Surya Maps, they believe that Mykolaiv is actually under Ukrainian control. So this also contradicts with the Rybus mapping. So that's that. There is fighting reported at Pavlivka. This is according to the Ukraine Defense Ministry. They say that the Russians their fighting continues at Pavlivka. So that's that. There's nothing else here. Fighting is reported at Marinka. There's an assault operation by the Russian forces, but there's no breakthrough. There's also fighting reported at Krasnohorivka. So according to the Ukraine Defense Ministry, they wrote near Krasnohorivka, hostilities continues. So they are staring each other, intensely, and they feel really hostile about each other. There is previously reported fighting between Pisky and Krasnohorivka, because Pisky and Krasnohorivka, this quite big. There's actually a lot of defenses here. So I think there is some attempted breakthrough attempt between these two towns. You can see that there is some entrenchment. There's some entrenchment here, entrenchment here, entrenchment here. So this is the line that the Ukrainians are taking. So maybe there is an attempt by the Russian forces to try to break through the defense. Didn't work. There is fighting reported at Pisky. This is according to the Ukraine Defense Ministry. And in the same statement, they also mentioned about Avdiivka. So they are fighting reported at Avdiivka. In the latest 31st of July information, there is still fighting at Avdiivka. They say that the Russians are trying to improve the tactical position in the Avdiivka direction. So as usual, to improve the tactical positions, you need to install toilet. You need to have some bathtub. Then put some nice perfume, make it smell nicer, because trenches are really horrible places. And maybe they will lay some matting, not some carpets. So then they are trying to then they conduct assault operations with the support of aviation. Then they start to define the defense system, like is it a good defense system or is it a bad defense system? So I think that's what they are trying to do. And the Ukrainians are not happy about it, so they started to attack Spartak. So Spartak is this little suburb here, the 110 OMBR. I think I forgot, it's a separate mechanized brigade, I think, of the armed forces of Ukraine. So this mechanized brigade or battalion only have 2 tanks. They try to counterattack in the area of Spartak. So this is according to the pro-Russian source Ryba. There is no next sentence to this. So it's like a sentence, information that's written halfway. Like they attempted a counterattack in the area of Spartak, and then what? Like their sentence is just broken. So no idea what happened next. So like, did it succeed? Did it not succeed? They did not say. So that's Avdiivka. So interesting thing is that there is fighting at Avdiivka. Avdiivka, if you not know, is the stronghold of the Ukrainian forces. Is extremely entrenched, extremely fortified, and this position have been held by the Ukrainians for the past 8 years, and the Russian forces, the rebel forces, the DPR, LPR forces, they have never been able to break through it. And even with the Russian support, they still had not break through Avdiivka. So that's how strong Avdiivka is. Going frontal assault on them, I don't think it's gonna work. So that's Avdiivka for you. So not sure what they do there to make it so powerful. So moving all the way to the Bakhmut Front. At the Bakhmut Front, the Ukraine Defense Ministry surprised me because they reported fighting at Travneve. So there's fighting in this area here, Travneve, which is on the western side of Dolomite. But of course, as usual, the Russians have no success. And then they also report the fighting at Kodema, is not repeated by the Ukraine Defense Ministry. The last report is still 27th. However, there is report of fighting at Semyhirya at 30th. So I think the other side, no information. So not sure what is happening now at Semyhirya. This is previously reported already. Previously I reported there's 300 troops retreated from Novosilka over to the Kodema-Semyhirya line to defend this line. Yeah, I already reported this. Should I leave this here? I should just delete this. Yeah, I think I don't want to confuse people because numbers can change. So this is all dated already, 25th. So previously I reported the capture of Vershyna by the Russian forces. Vershyna. However, this information is invalidated. Because both the Ukrainian Defense Ministry and pro-Russian source Ryba have both reported that Vershyna is still not captured, and Ryba being a more credible source, in my mind, is a much more credible source than previously reported Ridovka, I think, and Intel Slava, I believe is the other source. So I decided to invalidate this information, and so it becomes like that. And so the information now as the capture is invalidated. Now the fighting is reported at Vershyna, and according to the Ukraine Defense Ministry, assault operation in the area of Vertex is actually Vershyna, and according to the Russian pro-Russian source, they also reported fighting in the vicinity of Vershyna, where the 72 OMB suffered heavy losses. So yeah, so that's the information. But interestingly, the Ukrainian Defense Ministry reported the fighting at Zaporizhzhia. So I have no idea how this geography works. How does the Russian forces able to attack this position without capturing Vershyna? Did they penetrate through the bottom of Vershyna and move up to the Zaporizhzhia? Could that be how they proceed, or did they come from on top of Vershyna to go down on Zaporizhzhia? I'm not exactly clear which direction they go. Do they like on top or below? So I'm not so clear about this situation here. So I'm going to leave the icon just here, then you can decide whether it's better to go on top of Vershyna or below of Vershyna. So there is no updates in terms of the fighting in this off Bakhmut area, because the Ukrainians actually gave a very vague information about fighting in the direction of Bakhmut, but that could mean anywhere around Bakhmut. So I did not put that information in based on the Ukraine Defense Ministry. No updates regarding this counter-offensive. After this reported failure, reported by Ryba, the pro-Russian source, there is no longer any information about this. So probably this fighting has already no longer exists, is already failed. There is fighting continued to be reported at Zolota. So in the direction of Stryapivka is here. So Stryapivka towards Zolota, they are still fighting around here. How the Ukrainian Defense Ministry said is that the enemy sent a recon group, and the reconnaissance group is detected and neutralized. So they are no longer acidic. And over at Bakhmutsk, this entire fight is 24th July in the last mentioned. So I'll delete this. There is no more information about it. So maybe it had failed. Maybe. So So just going to leave this here and see what happened next. So this information, maybe it will be useful. I will put it in black. There is fighting reported at Yakovlevka. I think this is already reported previously. I'm gonna delete it. So moving on to the fighting between Berestove and Ivano-Davydiv is also outdated. There's no more. It's the last information is 25th, so it's quite some time ago. Push it back. Ivano-Davydiv also 25th. So this entire offensive here seems to have somewhat died out. So I'm going to delete it as well. Clean up the map a bit. So it's still under Ukrainian control. This is firmly established. Which one? So this is also outdated. I don't think there's any more fighting around Sivas. I think the attempt to take the high ground has failed. And just leave it like this. This delete this no more. Krasnohorivka is still continue to be a question mark. Not sure if the Ukrainian Defense Ministry will admit it or they will continue to assert it. The last assertion is on the 29th of July. So I will keep track and I'll let you know if they stop claiming that this place is getting shelled. So moving on to the Izium front. At the Izium front, what do we have? There's fighting reported in the area of Dolena. So this is the latest information. Again, is a recon group in Dolena, then suffered losses and withdrew. And then on the 28th, there was fighting in the area of Mazanivka. And then there is the latest report, there is fighting near Dmitrivka. So I spelled it wrongly. So Dmitrivka again is also, there's also operation near, but no success. So there's fighting around the area of Dmitrivka. Did this because we already moved this border, so there's no need for all those information. The fighting in the forest no longer is reported. So that's all for the Izium front. Moving on to the Kharkiv front. At the Kharkiv front, I have decided to move to invalidate this entire information of the Ukrainians still being at the eastern banks of the Seversky Donetsk River. If you're wondering why I'm still moving the border now, didn't move it earlier, because the mapping reset. So all my changes disappeared. So I'm moving it now. So I've invalidated the existence of any Ukrainian positions on the eastern bank because the Russian MOD mapping can no longer be used reliably because they refuse to fix their map. So without able to use their map, I cannot verify, because they are the only source that seems to suggest there's still Ukrainian positions around here. So I have removed it all. Interestingly is that suddenly we have this report from the Ukraine Defense Ministry saying that they are getting shelled by Russian artillery in the position of Rubizhne. So which suggests that they might be controlling Rubizhne. So there's a question mark there. I think I should give it this. Ta-da! Okay, so maybe this might be a bit more accurate. So not sure what's the situation here at Rubizhne. Why this Rubizhne have been out of the picture and the story for quite some time already. There is fighting reported at Vershyna, as well as Cherkasy-Tishki. There's also previously reported at Pavlivka and Postrova. These were previous fighting. So interesting thing is that this two is by the Ryba, and this is in the same sentence, but somehow the fighting can be one here and one here. I have no idea how the mapping going to work in terms of why there's fighting here and why fighting here, how the Russians actually reached Cherkasy-Tishki, and how the fighting end up at Vershyna. Did the Ukrainians push up, or do the Russians push down, or is it just all recon troops? We have no idea. So I just leave the icons here, and then let's see what's next. I can confirm that the Ukrainian forces actually secured Pavlivka based on the latest report that from Rybar that Prudianka is getting shelled by the Russian forces, which actually corroborates that Prudianka is currently under Ukrainian control. So this is a capture for the Ukrainian side. Otherwise, other information remains the same. So this is the summary for the day of 156 to 157 for the 29th and 30th of July. It might not seem very exciting, but that seems to be what had happened over the past 2 days. So anyway, this is the quick update. No, this is a summary, and I'll see you in the next update.